Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, July the 9th, and you're at the City of Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Bass. Board Member Irvin.
Here.
Board Member Kelly.
Present.
Board Member Taylor.
Here.
Vice Chair Williams. Present. Board Member Williams. Chair Russell.
Here. If we would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, we're gonna ask, Board Member Taylor, if you would give us a prayer, please.
God, we thank you for bringing us together one more time in your name. God, we ask that you come into this meeting that we may make right decisions. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone. We are thankful to be back together one more time to do a work for our community. And Mr. Director, do we have any add-ons?
I don't have, I was asked to keep this meeting short. So I don't have add-ons, but if I have 14 or 15 different items that I could add on.
Oh, no. You
Sure.
good. You good.
But if you want me to name them and then you may want to pick one or two that you do want to talk about, then we could do that as well. Otherwise, I don't have anything to add on.
Okay,
That's good.
you want to put them under discussion? You want to name them and then the board could see if there are any ones in particular that they would like to discuss tonight of great importance.
Okay. Update on the police grant for the cameras. Update on the code enforcement officer that was supposed to be hired with the city. Update on stormwater cleaning within the CRA.
Nice.
Update on park improvement plan, city park improvement plan, CRA participation. Updated on purchases of property at 2140 Alibaba, 3119 Opa-locka Boulevard.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
can I make a suggestion that once we get to the discussion items, that he can just go through it, each item for 30 seconds and give us a brief?
I'll add it at the end. I'll give you a brief update on all those at the end.
It's a lot of good stuff that he said.
okay, but he just said that he wanted to try to keep the meeting short.
That's the,
And he's already at 5, and all of those are items that everybody have a few little things that they would like to say. So we'll wait until you get to discussion and hopefully we could go through them fast. If anyone else have any comments, I know tonight is Tuesday. Okay, well, we'll move on then. Can we have the approval of the previous minutes?
second.
Moved by Board Member Kelly, second by Board Member Taylor. Any corrections to the minutes? If not, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Irvin.
Yes.
Board Member Kelly.
Yes.
Board Member Taylor.
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Chair Russell.
Yes,
Motion passed 6-0, excuse me.
okay, we're gonna open up public comments. Anyone for public comments?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Audrey Dominguez, 1147 Jen Avenue. I wanted to thank the director for bringing all these items to the CRA. but I just have a question. When something passes through the CRA, how long before the funds have been allocated? Because I know that the last meeting, $25,000 was, I guess, given to, the affordable housing, for demolition.
Mhm.
I wanted to know if those funds have been dispersed.
The check went out on last Thursday.
I'm sorry?
The check went out last Thursday.
Oh, it went out last Thursday. Great. Okay. That's interesting. The reason why I bring this up is because, I see that you have the Rose Titus Prayer Garden,
Yes.
and that passed over a year ago. And it was like $50,000.
Yes.
Why has it taken so long?
I would prefer if he would answer when it comes, we have that item up here.
Okay.
And rather than just answering all the question, if he would answer
Okay,
when
so,
it comes.
so when it comes up, then if they can answer the question, why
Please.
has it taken so long for something so small? However, it's meaningful because it's a former commissioner. She was the first clerk. You know, we should do stuff for our residents where they're living, not once they're gone, you know? So, and she's been looking forward for this. I've been looking forward for this because every time I pass by there, I'm like, okay, so when are they gonna put the butterfly garden? When are they gonna put the butterfly garden? And I never see it, but it's interesting. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Dominguez. Public comments is closed. We can move, Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item on the agenda is the resolution of the Board of the CRA authorizing the Executive Director to seek permission and authority from the City of Opa-locka to perform certain improvements to the Rose Titus Prayer Garden of up to a total of $60,000 and to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the program, providing for incorporation of recitals and an effective date for your consideration.
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Taylor,
Second.
second by Board Member Kelly. Mr. Director, please.
Yes, ma'am. So this item, you're right, Commissioner. This item has been lingering for a while now. It actually started before I started here. This is a city park or right of way. I think at some point, the city of Opa-locka granted this naming of the Rose Titus Garden for their space that they own, that is under their jurisdiction. They named it. In June or July of last year, there was an agreement between the Opa-locka CRA and Fairchild Tropical Gardens to plant and build out a butterfly garden. There was an agreement made, there was a resolution passed, and you're right, there was a cost to that of $50,000. What was happening behind the scenes, if we read the memos from Fairchild to the prior administration, was that there was certain work that needed to be done prior to Fairchild Tropical Garden coming in and doing their planting. And that work included pavers being installed, irrigation, water, electricity for light. There's a fountain there that's not working. There was some talk about a fence, and all that stuff needed to be done first before you do the planting so that you're not disrupting things that were already planted. But nobody had a budget. Nobody had talked about that. The city didn't anticipate these costs, and the CRA didn't anticipate these costs when they signed the agreement with Fairchild Tropical Garden. Fast forward, like I said before, this is not CRA property, and so we had been in talks with the administration to either we donate the money to the administration, to the city, and have the city do the work since it's their land, or they give us permission to go on their land and do the improvements ourselves, the Opa-locka CRA. Unfortunately, that discussion took a long time. And we finally got a resolution, I believe on July 1st. We got a resolution where we received a letter from the city manager granting us the authority to go on the land and make the necessary improvements. So now that we have that, permission to go on the land, I'm now coming back and bringing this to my board to say, listen, this has been lingering for a long time. Nobody's allocated money to do the necessary steps before Fairchild comes in to do it. This is what this item will do. I personally think we can do some of what Fairchild is doing and the pre-work for the money that we have here, but that's another discussion. But that's what this item is about. It's about providing the funds to have the Rose Titus Prayer Garden finally getting underway. We think we can start breaking ground in 2 weeks, just clearing things out with the approval of this item. And then once we're done, we'll call Fairchild Tropical Garden and say, hey, now do you want to come in and start your work? And hopefully we get it down way less than 60,000. But according to the quotes that we received from the city, it's going to come in a little bit around there. That's that item.
Board members?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
So this has been laboring, really waiting, trying to get from the city side to give you the okay because it's city property.
We're in a good place right now, so I don't want to go back. But
I'm not concerned about a good place. Because as Commissioner mentioned, I too have gotten inquiries from citizens why it's taking so long to just get this done. And as she mentioned, Commissioner Minga has mentioned, I've heard that from residents, we tend to wait till folks can't know what we're doing before we do something. The butterfly garden's been sitting there. So I'm kind of challenged by the 60,000 as well, but it's taken so long to maybe the cost and everything might have went up as well. But it should not have taken this long. It really shouldn't. And I think that's why we want to talk about some other items that are city tied and city related that seem to be taking too long, but at least we're finally getting the progress moving on the garden. Is there a way, I guess, Madam Chair, to the director, as the costs unfold, because to me, 6,000 is, it says up to, so are we monitoring, or we be monitoring that amount to see if it does come up less?
yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know by the end of by next meeting what the total cost will be. But Mr. King from the city, he did most of the pricing for us, and he got 2 bids for each item. And so this is, I think the average is like 50, and we added the 10,000 just for cushion. But it should be less than that. And we think, by the way, because we've talked to other people, and I don't want to say this, I guess I have to say it publicly now, but we think that we can get everything done for around that price.
Okay, that's fine. It says up to, so, I mean, obviously, my question really becomes, once it's done, because it's city property. So once it's beautiful, once Butterfly Garden is up, Fairchild has done what they do, we go out, cut a ribbon jointly, the maintenance or the upkeep of it is my concern. Because we're expending quite a few dollars to get it up and going. But I'm concerned about, number one, the maintenance, or who's going to be in charge of keeping it up to date. And if there's an agreement already with the city, because it is still city property and they're not granting us, giving it away. You said you have, I see it says permission to do the completing improvements, but it doesn't say about the upkeep. So maybe that's a discussion.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Commissioner, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Now, if it's in there, I see.
It's not.
Pardon me?
It's not.
Okay, so to me, Madam Chair, to my colleagues, that's a discussion I think we need to direct the director to have with the city. Because it makes no sense to expend money. It's gonna look nice for a few months and nobody's maintaining it. It'll be just in disarray.
Because the CRA is doing the capital improvement, we are allowed to do the maintenance of it. And I don't have a problem with doing the maintenance of it. We would just need another agreement, as you just insinuated. We would just need another agreement with the city for us to maintain it. I would have no problem for us to maintain it. And we're allowed to do that because we made the improvement.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. It's just not in writing.
Yes, it's not yet.
And I would want to know that we have that assurance in writing. My biggest thing is I want to see it pretty, and 3 months it's just all over the place. So I don't know, it would be appropriate, Madam Chair, for an amendment to include that for the director to go back and negotiate something with the city for the maintenance of it. I guess I'll defer to the attorney on that, or should we just let him talk to him and bring us back something? Madam Chair, to the attorney.
Yes, Mr.
Board Member Kelly, for purposes of this resolution, you are authorizing for us to move forward, subject to either going to give him the authority to go forward and subject to discussions with the manager on the maintenance, or you're going to not approve it and then have him bring it back for approval at that time, right? Because you're authorizing the work to be done, but you're not authorizing maintenance to be done until you can speak with the manager.
Okay, so what is it, Madam Chair?
Yes,
So I'm asking for your legal opinion. Should we just make that known like we're doing possible in conversation, or have that part of this legislation and come back with a maintenance agreement with the city?
I think you should recommend go ahead and approve the item with clear direction that the director needs to speak with the management about subsequent maintenance of the park, and to report back to you when those discussions have been completed so that you can be comfortable.
Okay, well,
I'm not suggesting that you stop.
no,
You heard the public.
I'm not saying stop. I just want to know whether we could include the language now or wait. So if you say wait out, I have a problem with waiting. I just don't want it to get left out of the loop.
I think it's okay for you to add a caveat to the approval, that the approval of the work that needs to be done is conditional on securing some maintenance commitment from city management.
Well, that might slow it up because
Or
it's
permission.
taking this long to get this far, so I don't want to slow it up, subject to that part. That's why I asked it the way I asked it. If your suggestion is to just give a directive to the director to come back to us, I have no problem with that. I just, to my colleagues, don't want to get left out, that once we get this done, that there is a plan to make sure it gets maintained. But if we hold it up for approval from the city side, that might take who knows how long, and we still won't get any work done. So I think, Madam Chair, okay, I'll just say from my perspective, giving a directive to the director, at least the consideration, to come back to us after discussion with the manager on a maintenance agreement and or the cost of that maintenance. And the board can, deal with that at that point. That's my thoughts out here. Hopefully my colleagues. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
yes, sir. Board
before,
Member Tim.
before you call the question, are we facilitating this or the city is? I know you said you met to see if we give them the 60,000 and they do the work.
No, we're gonna do everything.
We're gonna do the work. And we have an agreement with the city or MOU?
We don't have an agreement with the city. We have an email. We have an email from the city manager,
Okay,
giving us permission to do the work on the site.
all right, so I'm in agreement, total agreement with Commissioner Kelly, Board Member Kelly, that maybe we need to create an MOU that spells out that the city gives us permission to do X, Y, and Z, the scope of work, and also to include the maintenance agreement of the property going forward, and what the city's responsibility is, as well as what the CRA is the city giving money towards this project, or is all CRA dollars?
Up to now, it's all CRA dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, then
So-
we need an MOU. That's and Mr. Attorney, I'm sorry. You said something. I'm sorry. I was about to ask him another question.
You can finish.
Okay. Mr. Attorney, if we pass this tonight as the way it is, can the MOU come back for ratification? I
Definitely.
don't want to slow the process up.
Absolutely.
Okay, but the MOU needs to include this, I would like it to include the scope of work, the pricing, who's doing what, like completely spell it out to include what Commissioner Kelly said, the maintenance plan or agreement, or the aftermath, the upkeep.
Yeah, this resolution would allow the director
Okay.
to start advancing this project, keep the ball moving, and then concurrently to communicate to the management, secure MOU, and bring that back to the next agenda.
Okay, so that's the only thing I would ask to amend is just to add that language that the manager can move forward. Sorry. Mr. Walker can move forward, but also bring
Subject to.
back, so, no, not subject to, but make sure he include that he brings back an MOU for ratification so that we do not hold up the process. I'm
That's
sorry,
fair.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Okay, anyone else from the board? Mr. Director, I would just like to say that I'm in agreement with the prayer garden. I think it's a great idea. I guess I use, Board Member Kelly's words. I'm challenged as well, because now it looks like we're gonna be spending, what, $100,000?
I'm not gonna spend $100,000.
Because this is 60,000, and then we already passed the resolution, but you're gonna get David Fairchild Garden, that process is gonna be less. That amount is going to be less,
Yes.
okay? Because what we budgeted and what we were looking for when we initially started this project has gone way beyond that. And that's why you weren't here, previous administration, you know, I had asked them to please get an agreement with the city before we started this process, and then we wouldn't be here where we are today. But that wasn't done. So in order to keep it moving and to save face, I would say, you know, I see that you've taken on the initiative to push it forward, but I hope that we don't spend much more than, you know, on this community garden. And
If
then the
if I-
maintenance,
if I-
because if we're going to be maintaining it also, that's gonna be an additional cost.
If I will pledge to you that if I go over for the complete and total project, $50,000, I'll come back to you.
Okay. That includes the irrigation
That
and
includes
everything.
everything.
Okay, okay.
Well,
Okay,
Madam Clerk, I will say this for the record, I don't think that the CRA should maintain that property. If we're gonna, yeah, they're maintaining it currently, the city can continue once we beautify it.
but I think the, go ahead, Board Member Urban.
When you all were talking, I was just thinking about like who maintains it now.
That,
And
exactly.
Opa-locka's maintaining it now, so we just continue to maintain it. Maybe the CRA come through twice a year and, you know, do a massive overhaul, but we're doing it now already.
Believe me, I don't want to do it. So if the city wants to continue to
We've
do
been
it, that would
doing
be
it.
great.
Well, I think, Mr. Director, it's not if the city wants to do it. I think that what, I think we need to put a plan in place, and we need to let them know what we are willing to do and then what the city is going to do, because if we leave it open-ended, then the CRA could give the impression that we're gonna do it all, we're gonna maintain it. And if you hit a consensus of the board, that's not what the board wants. The board doesn't want us to have to maintain it, because this was you know, the city was doing was supposed to be doing that irrigation and all that stuff.
Madam Chair,
So go ahead, Board Member Kelly.
I totally agree with Board Member Irvin, but I'm not in a good place. So I'm gonna tell you, I don't really trust after putting this much money that the city will maintain the way it's supposed to. That's why I said some kind of agreement. Because I'm challenged now from my other side that you got an email saying you could do this, whatever, and it didn't come to the commission. So I'm challenged on that side, but that's a different discussion. So that's why I'm not in a good place with the not having something in black and white. Because I agree, the city should be maintaining it. already and they go through there and they do whatever, but we're making a substantial investment with Fairchild Guards to make it even better. So I want to make sure that doesn't get lost and to make sure, and it's in black and white. As I said, the city's maintaining it. Here's what the expectation of that maintenance is going to look like. Not just weed eating, not just picking up paper, but there is a plan. Because you're talking about butterflies, what does, all that entails, irrigation. And I'm saying that because the sprinklers in there to make sure it's going to be maintained, that they work. Unlike they are at Ingram Park. I'm just not in a good place, so I'm just throwing it out there. But, okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Board Member Williams.
So I agree with a lot of what was said, and I'd like to offer maybe a different perspective. So I wasn't on the board when you all voted for this, but I can hear from everyone how important this is to us. And so I do wonder if we do move forward with funding the improvements, but also we are showing our commitment to this and we take on the maintenance of it. Because one of the things that I hear is that we actually don't trust the city to do the thing. And the good news is that we are actually in a position to do the thing now. And again, I hear that everyone cares about this and they want to see this come to life. And so I do wonder if we go ahead and decide to fund the maintenance, and maybe we can fund the maintenance for a certain period, right? So we don't have, we can't do it in perpetuity because the CRA won't exist in perpetuity, but maybe there's a phase out program. But I think I hear you guys are committed. And so I would feel comfortable putting that commitment, putting some money behind it, depending on what the cost is, right? So I would actually love to know what the cost is for maintaining it. But I would say I would support us maintaining it, knowing that we don't trust the city to do that.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I trust the city, by the way, just. I trust the city, okay? But my idea was that we've been talking about hiring a group of cleanup people. One of the things we heard at Meet Me Monday last night, one of the things we keep hearing is how dusty and dirty some of the streets are. Some of the things are overgrown. We're not reinventing the wheel. We've been working on this because we don't want to hire all the people. But what we're trying to, and I'm bringing this up because if you know of anybody, then let us know. Because we don't want to hire all the people, but we're thinking about hiring 10 Opa-lockians, paying them $15 an hour to work Monday through Friday, giving them a rake, a broom, a garbage can, and a garbage bags, and a blower and a sweeper, and going out and hitting certain spots throughout the week, every day. And we would pay for this team. The problem is I don't want that team working for the Opa-locka CRA. I would rather have us pay an outside agency to provide that service for us. We have talked to several agencies. We have not come to an agreement. We're not even close to coming to an agreement. But that is the idea, is to create a cleanup team. And again, we're not doing anything new. All CRAs do this. And that team would be dedicated to cleaning the hot spots within the Opa-locka CRA. And my intention would be to include this park as a part of that ongoing maintenance with that when that team gets going. But we could talk about that. And I agree with with Commissioner Kelly about the email, but I'm going to take what I can get and run with it just so that I can start moving dirt and start showing that we're actually doing something. And at least I'm covered, because my fear was if I go out there and I don't have permission to be out there, then I'm liable for something that happens. So and I know it's not to the level of security that Commissioner Kelly is talking about, where we have an exact approval, but I got what I needed to be comfortable, which is an email giving me permission to go onto the site and do the work. And so we'll be out there in 2 weeks moving dirt so that people can see something's happening. And then we'll come back to you with an official MOU that outlines the improvements and the maintenance. But for right now, I'm satisfied with the approval of this item, with the email that we received from the manager, that we can move and start getting quotes to get that park. And I talked to Ms. Titus this afternoon, and she was happy to hear from us after 30 days to know that some action, she didn't know this was going to be on the agenda tonight, but that she was happy that some action was going to be taken. So I thank you for your support.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
just so to bring a little humor to something that's not humor. I have 3 butterflies that visit me every Saturday. Their names Bert, Dottie, and Gussie. So I'm very happy for us to move this forward so they can get a little company on Saturdays. I can see a lot of butterflies instead of just those 3. I'm excited about it. I don't know. They show up every Saturday. I don't even know what to put out for them. I'm gonna
It's
mess
the
up.
fact that you named them. That's not like you named
No,
them.
I hear the sentiments of everybody. I think that, this whole butterfly garden is a great idea, but I think it's just like have gone like way more than we even anticipated when it was even thought about. And when the CRA tried to, help in the situation. But anyway, I think Mr. Director, you have some orders as to where this board wants you to be. If there's a maintenance agreement to be put in place, it will come back to us, right? For approval. And I'll call for the question.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Chair Russell, excuse me.
Yes,
Motion passed 6-0.
Mr. Attorney, number 2, please.
Second item of the agenda, a resolution of the CRA authorizing the executive director to enter into a license agreement under the commercial rehabilitation program for that certain property located at 901 Sally Street, and to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the program, providing for recitals and effective date.
Mr. Director, please.
This is a application for the commercial improvement at New Generation Missionary Baptist Church. They have an annex to the I guess south of the church, or west of the church. And they applied for a commercial grant to fix that annex up and have it usable. The idea would be put a little movie theater there and a meeting space for people. Right now, if you've been there, but there are no plans for the space. The engineering plans. Right now, the inside of it has probably 10,000 bottles of some type of energy juice from France. Don't know how it got there, where it got there, but it's going to cost a lot of money to clean that out. So it's going to cost a little bit more than the quotes that they received. It's going to cost a little bit more than what we're willing to spend, but just to get things going and cleaning it out and getting the plans done, so that we can see what can go there. We're asking for approval of the application and an expenditure of up to $100,000 to get that project moving.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Taylor,
Second.
second by Board Member Williams. Discussion? Go ahead,
I have a
Board Member
question.
Irvin.
I'm not sure if this is the same plan. The same program. We got so many coming out. Is it the one that the max is 100,000 or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes, that was the idea, was to have the max at 100,000. But some of them are coming in at less, right? So what I plan to do, I'm bringing everything to you for approval.
Okay.
So even if we go over 100,000 and we think that it's necessary, we'll bring that back to you to tell you why it's necessary. For example, we just had a meeting downstairs talking about the space that we have a contract on 319. And we were talking about numbers on what to do with the restaurant in the back, what that's going to cost. And that number blew my head away in terms of the estimate that may cost. And it's more than $100,000. It's more than $200,000. So for something like that, we will make the case to you that we will need to go over the $100,000 cap, and this is why. And we will show you where we have the money to pay for it. So some of these will cost more than $100,000. This one probably will, but it's not going to cost as much as they have anticipated. We haven't done our estimates. They've only done their estimates. I want to do our estimates, but I also don't want to waste any more time because this has been lingering also in our office for a couple months. So I just want some money to just get started cleaning out the place, approving their application, get engineering plans done for the building, which we don't have, and we'll start from there. And then we'll come back to you with a real number, what I think is a real number for the rehab of this building. But we're not going to spend, for what I plan on doing right now for this building, we're not spending close to $100,000. For what I want to do with this building right now is probably going to be $30,000. For what I need to do right now, just to see where we're going to go. And then while we do that, we will go out and get our own quotes because we haven't done that yet. They've done their quotes, and frankly, I think they got quotes from very high-end people. So we're going to do our own quotes. But right now, I need $30,000 to get those 10,000 bottles of energy drinks out of there.
Well, you've educated me tonight because I didn't know that Ida's was a part of that building. I thought Ida's was something separately, a totally different place. I didn't know it was all together.
All together.
Okay. We had some very good breakfasts over there.
Any other, any board members?
I'm sorry, actually, Vice Mayor, they're owned by the same people, but they are separate properties.
Okay.
But we're buying both of them.
Okay.
Any other questions about the 901 property?
The only question that I have, I'm sorry,
Board Member Taylor?
I think we need to put an agreement in place, Mr. If we're gonna expend this money, then it should be, once that building is complete, the community should be able to access it.
Absolutely. And they've agreed to that.
Okay, but it needs to be,
Yes.
yeah. Cause we don't wanna fix it up and then they do it, yeah.
No, they agreed to it, and we'll have that as a part of their agreement.
Go ahead, Board Member Urban.
I think that should come with all the people that we're helping, because we're not helping you to fix up your business for you to sell it to the highest bidder. You're fixing up that building. Like I know, for instance, my niece has a Habitat house and she's gonna be in that house for the next 10 years before she could sell it because she got great deals through them. So I think we need to definitely talk to anybody that we're helping and we're spending that kind of money. You will keep this property. I don't know, whatever we decide on, 5 years, 10 years, you're not gonna use our money to fix up your property and then sell it.
I think 5 years, Mr. Director, isn't 5 years in the contract?
I didn't see it, that's why I asked. I didn't see it, it wasn't here. There's no.
I don't think we have that in there currently, but we can go back and put that in there.
Please.
Madam
So we would like to make that amendment to this resolution to make sure that although they're a church, that they still can't within 5 years sell that building, and to make sure that it's accessible at some point for the community if they want to have a movie night or something that, you know, they set aside some time to make sure, because I know that, you know, when you're dealing with churches and, you know, we get our foot in the door, then we become ownership. And, you know, the mothers ain't gonna let you come in that kitchen. So I think we should make sure that we have something in writing. Go ahead, Board Member Pastor Kelly.
Oh, now you want to throw the pastor lady, but you know what? I agree with the sentiments, and I didn't see it in there either. And I think we need to do this with all of the agreements that we're doing of this type, whether it's a church or anything. Those agreements, whether MOUs for access or used by the CRA, i.e. the community, there needs to be a part on the front end for any, I mean, for these types especially. And then the other part is the chair said 5. I'd like to really make it like 7, 8 years. So even that, even if all of us are transitioned out and not even here, whoever would be here still would have some continuity to know, it couldn't just all of a sudden come out of left field. And I know my concern is, and I don't want to hold it up, but it's not in there now. So I guess as the chair said, we're going to either amend it. They shouldn't have a problem with it, with just having language in there of, I would say 7 more than 5, but I could live with 5. And the writing of the fact that it would be accessible for the community, to actually have that language in there. I thought I was going to see it maybe in a separate MOU, but since I don't see it in there, Madam Chair, I don't know how you wanted to approach that as a simple amendment. And if I could just tag on to yours, I don't have a problem with 5. I just was thinking 7, just for a little longevity and the fact of the wording that it would be accessible to the community in some kind of form, so it'd be known.
I'll accept that amendment. Mr. Attorney, can you tell us how we could add that amendment, and do we need to vote on the amendment as well?
No, it would be an additional document to the transaction, likely a restrictive covenant.
Okay, so we need to vote on the covenant, is what you're saying?
We'll have to bring that back to you.
Okay, so if we pass this tonight with the idea that you're gonna bring back the covenant?
And also for future, all the others.
So a board member Kelly said 7 years. I'll go along with 7 years. What say ye of the board?
I'm okay with 7 years.
7 years? Yep. Okay, Mr. Director,
You're asking me my opinion?
I'm
Well,
telling you, the board said 7 years.
Oh, so you're not asking me my opinion.
Stay in a good place. Stay in a good place.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
the attorney I was trying to read his face when we were talking about the covenant.
Yes,
I was trying to read it's
that's
something that
very
you're
good,
not
very good,
seeing.
very good board member.
Oh,
Each
okay.
transaction is different, right? So I'm just concerned about any negotiations. This is something new. So yeah.
And not only that, my issue is that most of the improvements that we're doing is to the building. So all of them are to the building. So if the people go out of business, for whatever reason, the improvements are staying there. The place is still gonna look nice, and somebody else can go in there and resume business with the improvements that we've done. It would be attractive for them to come in. So I don't want to punish people.
No,
But I hear what you're saying, and it's fine. I think 7 years is a long time. I think 5 years is better, but that's just my opinion.
Madam Chair,
yes, board member Irving.
I know my people. And when I say my people, I mean the brown ones, the black ones, all however they call it these days. I know that things happen in business, right? But in the back of my mind, well, let me put it to the front of my mind. If I have a business that needs all this work that's on this paper, and somebody is going to pay $300,000 that I don't have to be responsible for, oh, I'm signing that for the next 7 years. I mean, not everybody's going to get a $300,000. So maybe if you're getting less than 300,000, maybe that could be a 5-year agreement. But either way, we have to let it be known that you're not just going to get our money. We're going to fix your property, and we look up 3 months later and it's for sale. And it could be for sale, but you'll just be giving us back our $300,000.
Well, I agree, and I think, Mr. Director, I think, since you'll be bringing every, project to us, and, we'll be voting on every one, and as the attorney said, everyone is different, but for this one, I think 7 years is okay.
No problem.
Okay, we're gonna call for the question.
We're in a good place.
Attorney?
We're in a good place.
All right.
Okay. We'll,
Did we get a motion or something?
didn't vote yet.
Yeah, we did. It was moved by,
Taylor.
Taylor and second by, board
Loretta.
member, Williams over here.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes.
motion passed 6-0.
On number 3, please.
Next item on your agenda, a resolution of the CRA amending, approving, and adopting an amendment to these agencies' general operating and tax increment fund budget for the fiscal year October 1st, 2023, ending September 30th, 2024, in the reallocation of salaried positions to professional services as set forth in Exhibit A, and directing the director to transmit a copy of said amended budget to the State of Florida Oversight Board.
Mr. Director, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. This item is to move money from our salaried position line item to our professional consultant position line item. As you all recall, when I was first hired, I told you that, you know, we first of all, we were hired and there was nobody in the office, so we needed to staff up. And I tried this experiment of hiring 1099 employees because it was also going to save us money if we wanted to save money, because every full-time employee, you got to tack on another 20% to that salary. So everyone that's in our office now is on the 1099. They don't receive health insurance. We don't pay the taxes. We don't pay pension. We don't pay we don't pay any of that stuff. And so it's been saving the CRA funds. But we did not transfer all the money that we needed to transfer out of that line item because they're basically working as employees, but they're contract. So we need to move the money that we have for employees to the line item for contract, or the state gets really upset with us because now when people are getting paid, that line item is in a deficit. So we will bring back a budget to you next month for the 24-25 budget year. And we will explain to you how we plan on moving forward with those positions in the 24-25 budget year, including the executive director position, the CRA manager, the project manager, and administrative assistant. And we will budget for those next year on a 6-month basis. I talked to HR today. We had a good meeting with them today about advertising those positions. And my contract ends in December, I think. So we're gonna, in the new budget, we'll have half and half again. But this is basically what this is for this year. We're in the midpoint of this year, and we need to transfer the money to professional services from salary because that's the positions that they're taking, and that's basically it.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Any questions from the board? If not, Madam Clerk, we call for the question.
It was moved by.
Oh, it
Move it.
wasn't moved.
Move it.
Moved by
Second.
board member Kelly, second by board member Williams. Call for the question, please.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Bass, oh, sorry. Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes,
motion passed 6-0.
thank you, Mr. Attorney, please.
Item number 4, a resolution of the CRA authorizing the executive director to enter into a license agreement under the commercial rehab program for the property located at 14532 Northwest 26th Avenue, and to execute all documents necessary to effectuate the program.
Mr. Director.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is another grant, a commercial grant program, and Vice Mayor, this is another one. See, this one is coming in at way under $100,000. This is Tommy Cycle, and Tommy Cycle sits right behind Jackson Soul Food, too. And they're looking for a grant to do the signage outside, repave the parking lot, the exterior paint, doors, awnings, and a drainage system out front. And I think that it's adding up to about $35,000. So we're asking you for approval to get this, to approve this application for commercial improvement.
Board members,
I'll move for discussion.
moved by Board Member Kelly. Second by Board Member Irvin for discussion. Board Member Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You said it several times, Mr. Director, so I'm assuming you have some idea. You said this one's gonna come under about 30,000, but you're asking for up to 100,000. Why ask for so much if you've already kind of determined it's going to be somewhere around 30 as opposed to maybe 50? I understand adding a little bit more, but to add that much onto it, I'm kind of, why take it up to that higher amount?
That's a good question, and we can lower that amount, I would lower it to 45.
No, I don't want to, shortchange, because I don't think, but I,
The reason why, I'm sorry to interrupt. The reason why is because we did it in slots. So we picked 10 properties. So every property we said we were going to give $100,000 to. So every property is listed as $100,000.
okay,
Some of
well,
them we're going to spend less
and the
on.
reason I'm saying that, because if I'm listening to this meeting and it's up to, I'm gonna go, figure out.
No.
Well, you're
Yeah, I
saying
agree,
that,
yeah.
but I mean, I, for the purpose of the board, I know we got money, want to see businesses, and everything, but if it's only about 30 and what you come up with, I'd like to see that maybe at 50
Yes, sir.
as opposed to up to 100. And then maybe you might have some other businesses or something that come up and you can come back to the board and say, because all of these didn't make the amount, we have an additional
You caught it.
whatever.
You caught it, and you're absolutely right.
Okay, so we open a good, okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to make that amendment, Madam Chair, from the 100,000 to the 50,000. And I think all of us want to know, when we do these improvements, are we getting the little sign or whatever that says we're doing it?
Yes,
I
sir.
know
We
that's-
actually
Sounds
have,
so.
we actually have spent, how much? How much did we spend on signs?
5,000.
We spent five, I think it was like seven, actually. $7,000 on signs. They're sitting in a storage space right now. And this is a part of my last item, regarding the bank account, because we need to pay somebody to put them up with the sticks and the concrete. So we worked it out now. We have the signs. Now we've worked it out where we found somebody that will front us the money and go buy the concrete and the poles for us, and they get reimbursed later. That was a problem, but the signs exist. We have signs for Soul Food. For Jackson's. We have signs for the liquor store. We have signs for the church. All those signs are done. But again, we'll get into this with the last item. The issue is payment, and that's a major problem that we're having, and that is people wanting to do work for us and also getting them paid. I think we found a solution, which is what I want to talk to you about in the last item. But yes, we do have the signs. We just need, and they'll probably be up by next week, because we finally figured out how to get it paid.
No, it's just important that we do the signage, because even though we had started on a couple of houses, even with the rehab, until we started putting them little yard signs, people didn't really know. They thought it was a county program. And so that's important, just like Jackson, not Jackson, the Chinese restaurant. People thought that was something else, so they saw that CRA banner. And so, okay, we are doing something. We're making progress. So it's important that those signs go up wherever they are to know that there are improvements taking place. That's why I asked. So I'm glad you kind of worked out how they'll get up. But for every one of these projects, as soon as possible, get the sign up, because we hear so often what is going on, what's being done. And this is a testament not only for the housing, but now you're doing something for businesses. You're doing something in the commercial areas of the CRA. So I would hope that, yeah, they do get up. But at the appropriate time, Madam Chair, I'd like to make that amendment from 100,000 to 50,000.
Mr. Attorney, how can do we need to vote on the amendment, or we just, excuse me?
You're doing that right now.
Oh, okay. We're adding on the amendment to change the total amount from 100,000 to $50,000 dollars,
Up to.
up to $50,000. Okay, so do we need to vote on the amendment as well? Do we need a first and a second on the amendment, or we just voting on the whole,
The resolution as amended.
okay, all right. Okay, it was moved by Board Member Kelly and second by Board Member Irvin. We can call for the question.
Board
If
member,
there, excuse me, if there's nothing else from board members. Okay. Go ahead.
Board Member Williams,
That's me. Oh, yes.
Board Member, Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes.
motion passed 6-0.
Mr. Director, please tell, Mr. Tommy Cycle that, they can't be holding up the road when down there, that the police gotta be coming and running them off. And, you know, we helping them out, so tell them, don't cause no problems with the police department. They have the whole road blocked off sometime with people with motorcycles. So they can't allow that type of, activity to be taking place over there. Mr. Director, please. Yes. Okay?
Oh, now you want to say
After it's passed, tell them they can't be holding up the traffic and causing, little ruckus, little problems over there. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, discussion items, open a bank account for CRA projects. Go ahead, Mr. Director.
So this is a very important item because, you know, one of the things that we didn't get started until I would say the beginning of the year. We were hired in August, late August. We didn't get started in the office until September. I was here by myself. We spent that month trying to get to know things and how things were going over the budget. Peggy got hired in October, so then there were two of us. Then we had November, December, Thanksgiving and Christmas when everything kind of shuts down. And we kind of brought you all these new programs in January, February, March. And now we're in the phase of implementing these programs. And we're finding out that it's very difficult with this state oversight issue to get people paid. And that slows down the projects, especially if you have, you know, imagine last month we approved the home rehab program, which we have not rolled out yet because we're not ready. You approved it, but we're not ready because we know that we're going to be inundated, just like we were with the rental assistance program, with people wanting to get their homes fixed. And that's going to require us to coordinate multiple contractors, just like we're doing with commercial rehab, we have to do with home rehab. So imagine if we have 10 commercial rehabs going on at one time. You just approved 2 today. You approved 1 at the last meeting. That's 3. We have some more. We have some more that are coming. So let's say we have 5, 6 going at the same time. That's 5 or 6 different people that have different disciplines that need work done. And right now, the process of paying people, first of all, we don't have a card. We don't have a credit card. We don't have a P card. We don't have a debit card. If we wanted to go out and buy you all water for your meeting,
right now.
me too. We couldn't even go out and buy you water because we don't have that card. And to get reimbursed is another, and these two can tell you how long that took for them when they went to the conference. It's another issue. So, and when we've started to go out, for example, for the liquor store to get the windows, impact windows, we lost one of those bids because it took us too long to just get a deposit to the company. And most people, they want to show that if you're going to order $40,000 in windows, they want to make sure that you put a deposit down before they start making the windows. And it's been a problem. Why is it a problem? Because first, the city, and again, it's just the way it's set up. The city manager has to approve our requests. The procurement director has to approve our PO. Then you have the local state oversight chairperson, Frank Rollison, has to approve the invoice. And then it has to go to the state Tallahassee to get approval from Brian in the governor's office. So you have 4 different approvals that you have to get through before you get a check. And God forbid any one of those people are out of town or on vacation when you're trying to process your invoices, then you're just going to get kicked back even more, right? And then when you get, now you have all of those approvals. So now you got 4 approvals, and that's probably been like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And the city, and again, it's not a knock on the city because most cities only write checks a certain time of week. And this city writes their check on a Thursday, and that's it. Thursday is their day to write checks. And you have to get the invoice into the city by Wednesday at 2 p.m. so that they can write a check for you that Thursday. But if I haven't worked all of those things out before that Wednesday 2 o'clock deadline, then I have to wait another 7 days before I can get a check out. So for example, we painted the building Jackson Soul Food. We painted Jackson Soul Food. We painted the annex to Jackson Soul Food. It took the small business owner from Opa-locka 7 weeks to get paid. We can't have that if we're trying to do all of these big projects. And now it was an anomaly because Frank was out of town on vacation. Brian went out of town on vacation. So the 2 oversight people, they went out of town on vacation. So you had 2 weeks to that before you get an approval done. Anyways, make a long story short, we're trying to figure out how do we fix this. We had a conversation with the manager. We had a conversation with Brian at the state, and we had a meeting with Frank at the state local. And the idea would be that we would go through all those same approvals. I'm not trying to circumvent the approval process. We will go through all those same approvals. We'll get the approval by the manager. We'll get the approval by the procurement director to create the PO. We'll get the approval by Frank, and we'll get the approval by Brian. But we're gonna have our own checkbook in our possession, where the board members and myself, there's 2 signatures required. It would be whoever you all pick, chairwoman and somebody else, and the 2 signatures required. And after we go through all those 4 approvals, I don't have to wait another Thursday to get a check out. I could just process a check in office from our project account. Now, we just came to this conclusion last week, so we didn't have time to write up a proposal. So I'm not asking you to approve this right now. I'm just getting your feedback, since we don't have time to, we don't talk very often together, getting your feedback on your thoughts about that process. And if you are inclined to approve something like this, then we would bring back to you a plan to implement it at the next meeting. But otherwise, I don't see how we do all of these nice fancy projects that everybody likes to see with the current way that the payment is set up. It's just, I mean, he knows. How long did it take you to get paid at one point? I mean, he was behind 2 or 3 months before we had to rush the process. So imagine, 3 roofers, 3 painters, and we're trying to spread, we're trying not to give everybody one person everything. We're trying to spread this out. But it's very difficult if people don't trust that they're going to get paid. So this is our solution. And if you have a better solution, we're welcome to and open to hear it. But I can tell you, if these programs are going to be successful, like the vice mayor, she's like, look, I want those flyers. I want those flyers. I want to pass out those flyers to get people. And I haven't sent the flyers. The flyers are made. The chairperson says, I want to make sure that we do a social media push for this campaign. I'm afraid to do that because I know that people are going to come and they're going to, want their homes to be fixed, and we're not going to be ready. So, and unless somebody comes up with a better way, I think we're just going to have to take it slow and easy, a little bit at a time, because right now it's just taking too long for people to get paid.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
thank you. The current process that we have now with all of the approvals that you said, and what you're suggesting is those approvals, but now you'd be able to, as you say, write the check from CRA as opposed to waiting, what have you. And I know we're in a different space because we're in oversight because in a lot of CRAs, they have their own separate everything, don't have to go through the city's process. Have there been any discussions, or just because of where we are with oversight and the city's finances, about getting from under that umbrella with all 4 of those layers and maybe just 2 layers with the state? If you don't know the answer, just think about it and let us know.
No, there have been, and you all did, if you remember, one of the first resolutions that I brought to you was there's already a process that was done before I got here to choose your own bookkeeping and accountant. And that item was deferred. So you can do it. There's no restrictions from getting under the city. You still have to go through the state, but there's no restrictions getting under the city. My issue is, and I know that, and I work for 3 other CRAs right now. All the other CRAs, the city has their money. I don't know of a CRA where they control their own money. That may be the case, but in my experience, all the funds of the CRA roll through the city and the 3 other CRAs that we represent. So, and I'm comfortable with that. I think for that extra layer of protection, I would rather have that. I trust myself. I trust Chairman Russell. I trust this whole board. But I don't know what's going to come after me. And I don't know who's going to come sit in the seat after you. And I have a hard time letting $6.5 million in the bank account be sitting on the 4th floor somewhere with, I just think that there needs to be an extra level of protection. And I'm okay with that. So for me, I'm fine with the city having our funds because it's easier. I don't have to worry about it. And all we're asking for is, look, we only want you to advance us out of the $6 million you guys are holding for us. Advance us only what our projects are costing. So I don't want the whole $6 million. I don't want to be responsible for that. I want only what I need to pay for these contractors to do the work. And then I'll write the check, co-signed by one of you, and get it done. Or you could do it the way you want to do it. And that is, or the way that the board had intended. And that is, there's nothing stopping us. The state says that we can do it from coming under the city and controlling our own funds.
Okay, I'm not advocating this moment to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you had given it some thought
Yeah.
about it because of the bureaucracy and I too share the concern that once we really campaign and get these programs out there, you are going to be hit with a rush of people and businesses. And we hear it all the time, especially about small businesses trying to get paid. And even as you mentioned, the other one, 7 weeks is a long time for a small business that paints. I mean, that's a long time to get paid. So I'm just trying to figure out a way to shorten it. But if you feel comfortable the way it is, you figure just having the checkbook, but you use the term city advancing you or advancing. So I'm trying to get a clarity on that particular point. Are you saying the check that you would write contingent upon the fact knowing the city would do whatever?
So I would ask the city for a certain amount of money, $200,000. We have 3 projects. What do those projects add up to? $340,000. City, I have these projects that I'm working on. Please advance me $340,000 for this project, for these 3 projects. They advance out of the $6.5 million that they're holding for us, which hold it, keep it safe. If anything happens to it, it's your fault, not mine. You hold it, but I need $340,000 of it transferred into this account that is controlled by the board of the CRA. Only $340,000. And then from that check, from that account, I'm still going to go through the process. I'm going to go to the city. I'm going to go to the city and to the 2 state people. But the most frustrating part about this whole process is that once you've got all that done and you don't make that, I mean, they're literally, Peggy can tell you that I've had to drive to Frank Rollison's house on more than 2 or 3 occasions in a mad rush, completely disregarding my schedule for other places in the rain, just so that I could get back here by 2 o'clock on Wednesday to get invoices into the system. Because if I waited another second, I would have to wait one more week. And we've done that more than 3 times, and that's frustrating. I don't want to have to do that. So if for these projects only, if I don't have to wait another week, because that's the city's policy, and I'm not knocking the city. Everybody has where they write checks. The city of Miami writes checks on Tuesday, I believe. That's the day they write the checks. They write the checks on Thursday. That's their policy. But for what we're trying to do, that doesn't work for us. We need to be able to write checks on a daily basis. Whenever the invoice comes in, we write the check, we send it out. You want to come pick it up? Come pick it up. Then one of the things that Brian asked me was, as the chairperson, are your board members available? Because you may need 2 or 3 signatures. Can they be available to sign off? Yes, the chairwoman works down the street. We can get a hold of any of them at any time to get the second signature that we need. That's not a problem. So that's what we're recommending. We could bring you a proposal if you like the idea, but I'm just explaining to you that these are the troubles that we're running into in terms of getting some of these projects off the ground.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, Board Member Taylor.
Okay, I have a question. Cause you keep saying that the city will lend us the money or something like that. Our money is separate from the city money. It's the city's money as it stands today.
Yes.
So it's in 2 different
Yes.
accounts. Why can't that account automatically have a checkbook and a credit card? And you still go through the same process. But the whole, let me borrow the $300 to put into a different account, and then it's just, to me, it just added another layer. Because I mean, the next project we got to vote to move another set of money. But if you control the money from the onset, and you can, in tandem with the city if you want to, we can move forward. It's just, I don't know, that's a bit weird to me. And I get what you're saying, that you want the city to be in control. I get it. However, the transferring, it's a little muddy to me. Yeah, that's.
I agree. with
Yeah,
you.
Well, the issue is that the city controls the account that our money is in.
So let the city can still control, and one signer can be from the CRA. So if you move all of our monies into one account, one signer is from the CRA and one signer is from the city. The finance director, however you want to put it, and the same process. But I would like to, in the future, because we used to do this before, to get financial reports. How much money does the CRA have in his account? And I think it should be readily available by you versus you going through the city. It's just too convoluted to me. It's too convoluted. That's in my opinion. I don't mind this if all of our money go into one account and the check says Opa-locka CRA. And you can still do the 2 signatures, one from the CRA side and one from the city side. And the finance director can control it how it stands today. With a credit card.
Board Member
Okay.
Irvin and Board Member Williams, and I think I see Board Member Kelly down there as well. And I have a question.
I agree with the mayor, because then it's gonna be an issue when it's time for you to get that money transferred over. So you're gonna still have a holdup. Whereas if they give you the information off the check or the signing, you could do it the way you want to do it, but without, because it's gonna be a holdup. When you start saying we need you to transfer 300,000 over to this account, oh, well, I can only do that on Wednesdays. So you still missed out. So it's gonna be an issue. So I like what the mayor is saying. It's still our money. It's still there. You're just giving us the permission to print out our own check and still have the signatures, and the money is still there, and we're just printing with our own machine or whatnot. I do agree with that, because it's gonna be something else that's gonna knock you. And that something else is gonna be, well, we don't have time to do that. You're gonna have to give us a 2 weeks notice on that, and then we'll transfer it, hopefully by the time you really need it.
Board Member Williams?
Okay. So I'm going to respectfully disagree. And let me tell you the reason why in my mindset. So first, I don't think any of us would want to have that, any type of attachment to that such large account, even if that is also attached to the city. So I think what I'm hearing you say is have someone that's connected that can also write checks that's connected to the city's proffer of that 6 million. I'm not comfortable with that process, but I think what I'm hearing our manager say is in order for us to move these projects faster, is we take the umbrella of what we need and then he can chop them up faster than the way the city is chopping them up. And so waiting for on the city side, going, okay, I need 50, now I gotta wait 7 weeks. I need 60,000, I gotta wait another 7 weeks. What he's saying is, I wanna move you all's projects fast. So yes, I have to go through these processes, but this one process, waiting for the umbrella amount, I now can move faster on projects. And I think that's the way I'm seeing it. So I actually agree with that because we've been seeing the same, and we've been talking about the same items repeatedly. And we do, I mean, we can talk about marketing and getting it out, but can you imagine, I would want to have my money fast and I can't get that work done. If I'm a resident or business owner and I did an application and now I'm waiting, several months to get it done. Now it looks like on our side, like we're just blowing smoke.
Yep.
So maybe 6 months can be 3 months based off of, the umbrella. And I think that's the way I'm seeing it.
Yep. Thank you, board member. And for the record, I should have thrown out the number 300 or 340. I was actually going to look for $1 million because that's what we allocated for the commercial project. And we allocated, I believe, 750 for the home rehab program. So just with that alone, it's going to be, I would ask for more than 340,000. So we don't have to keep going back. Let's do $1 million and let's do all the projects that we need to do. And then if we need more, we come back. If we need less, we give it back. I mean, I'm just telling you what we've run into so far. And again, it's nobody's fault. I'm not faulting the city. I'm not faulting. I think they're fine. It's the oversight that adds 2 weeks. Then the city adds 2 weeks. That's 30 days. And then somehow there's a hiccup somewhere if we don't get it in for that week on time. So now 30 days becomes exactly. And then if somebody is on vacation during that period, then it becomes another 7 days. And I'm trying to cut that part out. And we can, again, this is only for discussion because we finally had the conversation with the manager. We had the conversation with Frank Rollison. We had the conversation with Brian Hunter. And we all agreed that this is a possibility. And basically what they said was, we understand your frustration. You guys come up with a plan. I guarantee you that if your board approves the plan, we will approve the plan. So it's all up to us. And, we could talk about it more until the next meeting. This was just our first, this doesn't have to be the plan. But that's the frustration that we're running into. This is the solution that we came up with because it was really getting out of hand.
Go ahead, board member.
Thank you. I can see both ways. I just want to really get started on the projects themselves. So if you come back to us with whichever way with the plan for our next meeting, get that plan approved, goes to the state. So we'd be looking at August before you could really roll out, because as you indicate, and I think we all agree, once you put it out there, you're going to get inundated and you want to have everything in place. So I'm only saying that because if there's a possibility that it can move quicker in terms of approval, the state, since they kind of know where you're going, even if it meant calling a special meeting for this item, just to get it going. And my suggestion was going to be what you just said, instead of the amount of the example of 300, 340, that you would make it the million or whatever. Now, I guess the only caveat now, you mentioned about who would sign off on checks. And that becomes a sticking point right there. I don't think any of us want to be sign off on checks. You know, because
That's what was suggested.
it was suggested. I heard the chair, but I could see the chair being at church and somebody waiting in the parking lot. If you go sign that check, I can get paid. You know, and again, it's not the fact of she's accessible to sign it. I just wouldn't want that pressure on her or anyone else. You know, you signing it is one thing, but I'm concerned having one of us or two of us as check signers.
You have to.
Pardon me?
You have to have one of you as a secondary check. The bank won't approve it unless one of you are a signer.
Would that mean one of us or whoever that would be would have to be bonded and all that good stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
You'd have to be
Well-
bonded. Well, I mean, we're discussing, so you can bring back, I think the consensus is we want to get moving quicker. So I think your suggestion of opening an account, I think we all kind of agree on that. And I'm in favor of the higher amount in terms of $1,750,000. So you ain't got to keep going back every 2 weeks to get approval of a couple of dollars or whatever. So I guess you could bring it back in whatever possibility, two scenarios, I'll put it like that. And then the board can pick either one, get it to the state, and they approve it quickly. I would suggest calling a special meeting just for that item to get it passed so you can get it going and get the marketing, get the campaign so you can get this money out in the community. That's my suggestion on it. But thank you for bringing it to our attention because it kind of adds some clarity and light on trying to get things out and get them done. Thank you, Madam Chair. If you got a question.
My concern, I've already kind of discussed it with the director. My concern is signing. I know for myself and board member Nikisha, before we were appointed to the board, we had to go through a level 2 background screening with Miami-Dade County before we were allowed to be on the board. They didn't even let us do anything until we went through a level 2 background screening with the who's the general? Yes, Inspector General's office. So we had to do that before we were allowed to be on the board. I'm concerned that we don't get financial reports like we used to. And as I've always said, that when we get that bank account, that dollar amount never moves. We don't know what's being taken out. We don't know what's being spent. We don't know. We have an idea when our money comes from the state, but we don't know that amount that the city keeps because the finance director, not director, Mr. what's his name? Anthony told us that when the money comes in, that the city keeps a portion of the money and then they put the rest in the bank. And see, the city, now I don't know when the city's portion, that's the county's money that goes into that account. So I still have not gotten clarity on how that process even works.
We'll get you a financial, you're right, we'll get you a financial update. The good thing is we haven't spent a lot of money. We haven't spent much money at all.
Okay.
And the also good news is I can tell you that what's in the bank matches up with what's in the audit. So that's what makes me comfortable. But we will get a financial report to you at the next meeting.
Okay. I won't get into it matching up with what's in the audit, because that could be a whole nother story. But my concern always have been and still is today is that when we know that we have all of those levels, but when we got the audit and the CRA was a part of those 99 findings, it's not our fault because we don't handle the money. So if the city gets another audit, and if they have 99, or I'm quite sure they won't have 99, but whatever findings that they have financially bears on the CRA as well, because we are part of that process. So my thing is that I wanted us to be able to eliminate the CRA getting those findings if we didn't have to. So if you have to get an account where you sign, are we gonna go, is that gonna be a part of that city's financial audit as well? Or I know now we have to do our own separate audit as a CRA, but you still gonna have that level of the city is responsible for our finances. So when are we ever gonna be able to say that the CRA's audit, this is what we are as a CRA versus this is what we are as a group along with the city? That's my concern.
So I think when the audit that they did, it was our annual financial audit is done separately. So we have a separate audit from the city.
But the financial part of it is combined with the city's part because the city handles the money. It has to be.
But it's segregated out and it's not a part of the city. It's separate. We get an audit based on, you're right in that the operation of it is done by the city. So if the city had a finding because they're operating it, it may be reflected in ours as well because they're handling the money. But the money's not commingled. It's separate.
Okay, so you bring it back to us how how you see it and how you can work it out with the city and the state, and if everybody in agreement, bring it back, and then we could think about it more and discuss it more. But I would like for us to get itemized line item financial report, not just an overall, but how much money is spent on signs, what is spent, itemized financial report.
Yes, ma'am.
As to where the money's going.
We'll get you that.
Then, I probably will feel a little bit better about how, staying under the city's purview. Okay, that's one discussion item. You want to go to another one?
No.
I do.
Okay,
So, yeah.
Board member Kelly, which one you want to jump in?
I wanted to hear really all of them, but I definitely want to hear the code officer, the police, and the park plan, because those three, those three. I mean, it could be brief discussion, brief update, but I want to know where we are on those three.
So on the code, we had a meeting. First of all, let me say that I had a meeting with the manager on July 1st. And that was our first meeting
In a while.
And I think it was a productive meeting. We made an agenda. There were 14 items on that agenda that we felt that we needed to discuss with management. I think it was a good meeting. We cleared the air. We agreed on certain things moving forward. One of the things that we followed up on was the code enforcement position, because we had passed that in March, I believe, and we hadn't heard anything since. We have opened up the lines of communication. And we had a meeting today with the HR director, as I told you, and her staff. We marked out a way to add that position as soon as possible. They actually already hired one person, and so they just had a panel for code enforcement officer. So they're basically going to go down to the next person that was in line on that list and hire them. They're going to come up with a proposal for us to fund the position, and we will be funding the position wholly. That means we have to buy a code enforcement truck. We have to buy the uniform. We have to pay for the health insurance. We have to do all that stuff for that person. And this would be a yearly contract, a yearly commitment, and that person will know that coming in. Like, there's no guarantee. I mean, it's unfortunate that it's set up this way, but that's the way it's set up. It's like the cops grant. You can hire extra police officers for 3 years, but then after the 3 years is over, you've got to assume the responsibility. I mean, our commitment is, I think Commissioner Kelly's commitment is that they want to fund this position. So you should keep it in the budget, but it will be a yearly reimbursable expense. The first year is going to be a little high because we're going to buy all the uniforms and the car and all that stuff, the truck. And then the second year, we'll just be paying for salary, health insurance. But that should be moving forward pretty quickly. Like I said, we met with the HR director today. And they have a person in mind from the list that they just hired from. And now it's just a matter of them giving us a proposal and then you all approving a number to transfer over to them. And that person will get started to work code enforcement exclusively for the CRA area.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'm glad there's finally some movement since March. I'm not happy about that. Really not. This board has passed that so long ago. The other concern I have is you said they're getting the next person off the list. I'm concerned about that only from the standpoint, this position or this person is going to be doing CRA. That's all they're supposed to be doing in the CRA zone. They advertise that position as a code officer for the city. I understand that. See, that's my frustration because if they're for the city, that's fine. This person, whoever it may be, that's coming off the next of the list, is going to be strictly for code enforcement for the CRA. And my question I have for you, since you're not really a part of this hiring process, and that's another challenge I have that goes to the whole idea of controlling the money and whatever, they're going to say, okay, we pick candidate, whatever. You're just going to have to take whoever they get, and they're working under them under the auspices of doing code in our zones or what have you, but they're really over there with folks who are doing code all over the city. So while this is going to move forward, and I know we all want it, I really want you to, as a director, be very paying close attention. I know I will, because I want to see that officer is in the CRA zone all the time where they're supposed to be.
Yep. So we
And
talked.
not venturing out. You know, they're short today, so
Yep.
they're gonna go over here. And I fully, I'm just telling you, because if I see it, I'm going, not really like it, because it's taken us too long to get to this point. And not of your doing. And I know the cost is gonna be high on the front end because you gotta get the car and all of that. But what I was hoping was, because we passed it so long ago, we'd have the car by now. We'd have some of those incidentals already, because that takes so long to get a car, stripe it out, that says code with some kind of marking saying CRA, because we're doing it. And I guarantee you none of that has been done. So while they may have a place or taking something from the list, the next step is going to have to be getting transportation for them.
Yeah, I think they may have the transportation as well.
I want you to think. I don't know. I want you to be very clear, and that vehicle needs to be striped or marked that says CRA. So, okay, all right. I think you.
But to answer your question, we did talk about that in the meeting. And so what would happen is that person, as they do on a normal basis, they submit reports every month on their activity. So that person would submit a report every month to me, and we would, by way of me, submit it to the board of all the activity that they've done in that month within the CRA. So that's how we're gonna know what they're doing when they submit their monthly reports. And so that was discussed, and that person's reports should only reflect stuff being done in the Opa-locka CRA.
Who's going to,
I'm sorry.
you finished?
Yeah, he said a month. I want to see it almost every week, every 2 weeks. I just, okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And who's going to be, that person is going to be answering to?
The code enforcement director, Ms. Wilcox.
And we're paying for 'em?
Yep.
You don't call someone director.
Well, whoever the code enforcement director is. I'm assuming it's Ms. Wilcox.
Well, how to say madam. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam
Okay,
Chair,
I'm done.
I'm coming to you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
You got to finish that. You can't just stop right there. You-
Because I'm wondering,
If we're paying them, why
if
shouldn't they
we're
be
paying,
answering
why
to?
shouldn't they be answering? Why shouldn't you be overseeing or someone in your office overseeing the work that they're doing? Because, and I'm not saying that that will happen, okay? But I'm saying that if we, the CRA, if they are under the auspices of the CRA, then why aren't we the one that is monitoring the job that they're doing? And not saying that it might happen, but like Board Member Kelly said, that if the city needs him today or her today to go over in the back blues to take care of business, who are we to say that that person can't do that? You know, who are they working for? Are they working for the city or are they working for the CRA? So I
They're
would like
working
to.
for the city. They're working for the city. And I'm not I'm not a code enforcement director. And I'm going to give you an example. So in Miami, in the Omni, for example, we hired 5 police officers and a sergeant. It was for the police enhancement of the Omni CRA. It was $600,000. 5 police officers and a sergeant. We paid for the vehicles, we paid for the uniforms, we paid for the socks, the boots, the gun, everything. And they patrolled our area. They worked out of our office. They reported and parked their cars in our office, and they worked our area. We paid $600,000 for that extra security in the area. They still reported to the police chief. They still reported to the commander. They still reported to the sergeant. We had input. We had input on what they were doing and what we think they should go and where we think they should focus on through the chief,
Okay.
not through the person, because the person works for the city, works for the chief. So if we have a problem with the code enforcement officer venturing out somewhere else beyond the boundaries, no, I'm not going to go confront the code enforcement officer. I'm going to confront the city manager because my agreement is with the city and you're in breach of our agreement. But as far as reporting, they don't work for me. They work for the city and we hire the city for that service. So I don't have responsibility over that person. I have responsibility to the city manager and to whoever the code enforcement director is to make sure that they're doing and adhering to our agreement.
Okay. So, I understand that, and if that's the way that, you've done this before, and if that's the way that you think it would work, but, we have to make sure that our relationship between the city and the CRA is going in the right direction in order for that to work. And that's all I'll say.
And I'll even go a step further. So we talk about oversight. So there was in Miami they have GPS in the cars. They actually put a web around the location of where if the cop went outside of the CRA, it was notified. Yeah, geofencing. You're right, geofencing, and it was notified. And there were times, by the way, where they had to go outside of CRA
Yeah.
because that was written in the agreement that if there's a problem in Bayside and we don't have enough cops, the Omni CRA person's got to go across the street to Bayside and help out. It's just, but we knew when that happened. Same thing can happen here. We can buy the car, we can GPS the car, and if the car goes outside of the boundaries of the Omni CRA, of the Opa-locka CRA, there's gonna have to be an explanation. I mean, they could go out for lunch or whatever, but
Of course.
but if they're going out for working purposes, then we would know that.
And the reason why I'm saying this, Mr. Director and board members, is because I want to make sure that we maintain a good relationship with the city and have something in place that, you know, you're here now, Mr. Williams is the city manager. If you're not there and he's not there, whatever we have in place is what speaks to what is to be done. So make sure that we have a tight clad agreement that the board is fine with and, you know, and something that the city is going to be able to do. And if I understand that, you know, if emergencies come up, you got to use whatever you have, but it shouldn't be where, you know, I could just tell the code enforcement, no, today you're gonna work over here or whatever. So I just want to make sure that we have an agreement that's going to speak to those things. Okay, next item. I think Commissioner Kelly.
I was
Board
police,
Member
but I'm
Kelly, you
even
had
mentioned an
five.
example, the park improvement. You said, you mentioned that.
This is for Vice Mayor, for the Vice Mayor about the splash park and also the bigger picture of the Parks Improvement Plan. So my main concern was that, and from my understanding, there is no plan right now. I think they're working on a plan. And I think the CRA, I found out, contributed to that plan. $50,000, I'm assuming at a couple of years ago or last year. But in our meeting with the manager, they're still in the midst of developing that plan, and I don't know if there's an end date because I think it's very expensive, the plan. I think he said $300,000 or something. So basically, you're working on a plan, is what I'm told. And so my concern was with the splash park is that I haven't seen a plan, because specifically when it comes to parks, you know, the CRA can't contribute to a capital project that's already in the city's plan. You just can't do it. So I've been told that for the parks, there is no plan for anything. And so, especially the splash park. So what I'm saying is, if that's the will of this board, you know, again, it's like the Rose Titus Park. I can't go on a city park and say, let me put a splash park here. I can't do that. The city can, you know, enter into an agreement with us or tell us what they want or however that may be, but I can't do that. So to the Vice Mayor, you brought this up at several meetings and we've had private conversations about it. If there is a will to do that, we can do that, but we need some type of direction from the city side as to where, what, how they want it done. Because there is no plan, in the absence of that, I believe that we can do it.
Madam Chair. Thank you for the information. He's worthy. Okay. Okay, so yeah, there's no plan. Matter of fact, at meeting Monday, lady turned in the survey that they're still doing for the consultants. So I guess they still working on gathering data. So obviously there's no plan. Okay, I understand from a CR perspective, we can't do something that's, you know, city or potentially city related. I was just wondering if there's anything else. So there's no plan.
No, that was my main concern, because I know the Vice Mayor was, she's communicated to me in public, she's communicated to me in private, that this was a priority for her. My only concern was no one's shown me a plan, and I just need to read what the parks plan is to make sure that it's not in there, so we're not in violation. It doesn't exist. It's not in there.
That's the parks plan. We don't have one.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, so I'm telling you on the record
Yes, sir.
that the ball's in, and again, with this Rose Titus thing, it's the same thing. If there's something y'all want to present to the CRA, because it's a city's park, then you present it to us, and then we'll bring it to the board for approval. But I'm not gonna go and start planning city parks.
Through
Okay.
the chair. Is there, through the chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there such thing as a CRA park?
We could.
There could be.
Sounds like we're in a good place.
No, we're trying to get there. We're trying to.
We're
get
trying to get.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if we're waiting, I mean, and I get it, everything is 50-50 split down the middle, and, you know, it seems that we're ready to move on a lot of projects that we're waiting on, and we're being told that those plans exist when now we're hearing they don't. So it's very disheartening that we know that we're still, sitting back, waiting on something. So if we have to wait, why not? Why keep waiting? Why can't we just infiltrate, do what we need to do, figure out how to move in on, if anything, I would love to move in on, well, Ingram is not. Ingram. So we can get that going, and not wait. And then it is under the, the control of the CRA. I'm just putting that nugget in your lap, Mr.
I think you heard the consensus. There's no plan. That's number one. And it's not lost in the fact that we cannot, if it's city property, try to make plan. They need to do whatever, and then we can do whatever if they're not going to. But listen to you talk, because there's no plan. You're not sure what's going to be proffered out there, and you don't want to get started and then they come back. So I understand. Hopefully there will be something presented pretty soon regarding some kind of plan. I think to Commissioner Board Member Williams' point, within the CRA boundaries, are there any park green spaces that you could be looking at that we have not, or you have not looked at this point? Because those could be CRA parks, to use that term,
Yeah,
if they're in the zone.
I think there are 4 parks in the city. 2 parks in the city are in the CRA. One is Ingram Park. I don't know which one is the other one. I think it's the one Sherbundi Park. Yeah. So listen, I went to Ingram Park for the first time when we had our tour of the homes that were done, and I couldn't believe what was there. And I called the chairwoman that night and said, listen, I think we could make a substantial commitment to this park. I told Commissioner Kelly, I said that, if we want to make a name for the CRA, let's commit $1 million or $2 million to get this park a facelift if you want to do something with a park. And I think we have the capacity to do that. But again, it's not my park.
Yes.
I don't know what the plan is for the park, but I can tell you that it is a beautiful park, and it could be the center of everything for this place. And this is what CRAs are supposed to do. And especially now that I know that you don't have a plan, then it's a blank canvas for us to go in there and do something with. So coming into next year's budget, we didn't do a lot this year. So guess what happens to all that money that we had budgeted for this year? Gets rolled over. And guess what? We get a new batch of money in October. So we'll have some money to make a commitment to Ingram Park, in my opinion. And even if it's just refurbishing the railings, refurbishing the tennis courts, refurbishing the basketball, even if it's just that simple stuff, doing the roads, planting some trees, even if it's just that, I think we could do that. And I think we could do more.
Well,
Yeah,
I just want more. I'll be meeting with you. I think there's a way we can move this forward. So I'll be meeting with you to bring some legislation back to the CRA that will kind of encompass it. So thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You know what I saw? I think we all, Commissioner Kelly, Board Member Kelly, along with Board Member Irvin and Williams over here, and you, and I think all of us can come up with a great plan, because when the director spoke to me, I went and looked at other CRAs and what they've done in parks. And I saw some trails and some artscapes and things that were like out of this world. I said Ingram Park would be like tremendous for people to go. The only problem is the one way in and the one way out. So we would have to look at doing something, I think, with the road system, with people being able to get in and out in and out. And that is something that CRA can, can do. When I looked at the plan of the other CRAs and what they've done, streetscapes and doing the roadway and doing the drainage was a part of their plan. That's how they got to be able to do the park, because they went in to do drainage problems and to fix the roads, and they were able to fix the parks. So I've been doing my as much research as I can so it doesn't look like we're anti-parks. We want to get it done, but we want to take the avenue to get it done. Like everyone say that it can be CRA, but we don't own the park.
Yep.
You still have to go take
I'll
that.
give you a perfect example where CRA. If I lived at 1717 North Bayshore Drive for many, many years, 25 years. 1717 North Bayshore Drive is north of a park called Margaret Pace Park.
Mhm.
Okay. Margaret Pace Park. And then before all those buildings were there, it was just the Marriott at 1634 North Bayshore Drive, the Grand, and the Omni shopping mall. And then you had small 1800 Club building was there, little small apartments. And Margaret Pace Park was a drug haven. It was a prostitution haven. You could look out your balcony and see deals going down in Margaret Pace Park. It was, and you'll remember this over there, Madam Holmes. It was Frank Rollison, who was the Omni CRA director, and Arthur Teal, who was the CRA chairperson, who went to the city on behalf of the CRA and said, look, we want to fix up this park. And they put $4.5 million 20 years ago, $4.5 million of CRA money to refurbish Margaret Pace Park. What happened after that? All those buildings started popping up because of the park, because of the investment in the park. Yeah. And I think we could do the same thing at this park. We're allowed to do it. It's in our charter to be able to do, and we have the funds to do it. And the park clearly has the need. So now I'm glad we're having this discussion, because I think that, and I'll say it out loud, we can make, it's such a jewel that you could make up to a $2 million commitment to do something at that park.
So,
Okay, thank you. I just have one request, that whatever we do, it's done right. Be it a tennis court, whatever it is, because it sits there on the water. We don't want 2 years later,
It's sinking.
it's saluting, it's doing omega sci-fi stuff. We want it done right. If that means we have to demolish everything there and build it up a couple of feet or whatnot, just to make sure that everything that's put on it is sound, and we have more than just a 3 or 5 year span. I just want it done right the first time. Sometimes contractors think we're stupid, and they will play us for stupid. But a wise woman told me one time, you don't always have to buy the cheapest, and you don't always have to buy the most expensive. What's in the middle work just fine. That was my mother-in-law, by the way. And it works. We don't have to, don't come playing us that you're going to give us something, and we find out years later, instead of them giving us 3rd grade, they gave us -2 grade, but because we didn't know, we accepted it, and we're here. So when we get to that point where we're talking with contractors and stuff, we got to make sure that we put them in a situation where if you screw us, it could be 10 years from now, we coming to get you. Yes. Boxing gloves and all.
can we adjourn the meeting? Oh, my,
You're giving me pause.
very much so.
Madam Chair, in all seriousness, I am going to speak with directors. All of us probably will, but I think I see a possible pathway to do what we all are trying to accomplish, and get something happening and utilizing funds for Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, and the first thing I would like for us to do is to look at those streets over there to make sure that people be able to come in and go out without disturbing the homes that are already there because the streets are kind of small. But I think that can be done if we come through State Road 9, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. One more, we had,
Mayor, I thought he was.
I thought you had something.
He had a police officer.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
no, I'm good.
Okay, police officer and then,
for the update on that. I'm waiting for the update on that. The manager was not aware of the update in our meeting. He was gonna get back to me. And the only other updates that I have would be that we're still moving forward with the purchase of 319 and the fisherman building behind it. We finally had the owners sign the contract. It took a long time and lots of phone calls to get Mr. Bennett to get on board, and Mr. Bennett is finally on board and they've signed it.
yeah.
So now we're in the due diligence phase. We met out here today with him. I met with the tenants that are there. I met with some prospective tenants that are there. So that's moving forward. On the 2145 Alibaba property, there were some issues with environmental issues on the property. Evidently, there was a cleaners that was there, well, at least adjacent to it before. So there's some spillage that's leaking over to that property. They need to put a couple of wells down there. We asked for another 2-week extension. We were granted another 2-week extension. So that should be wrapping up soon. But in any event, those two properties should be under our control by the end of the 30 days. And we'll have possession of those. We're looking at people, we're interviewing people to because it's my idea. This is my idea, but I'm going to bring this back to you later. That for the Chinese restaurant and for the restaurant in the back of the 319 building, because if we go through an RFP, I think we find somebody that we want to work with and I present that person to you, and then you guys give me 5 out of the 7 votes, and we just go with that person because the rules allow it. The rules allow it. And we just go with that person and we move forward. And so we're interviewing good people for both of those restaurant spaces. We have some good ideas coming out, especially for the Chinese restaurant. We're getting it cleaned out this week. We're getting the lights turned on. So you'll start to see work happening there. And then once we take control of this building, we have some tenants that we've talked to that want to go in there as well. And we'll start working on this building, which would be ours. Our office will be at the corner. We'll move out of this building. We'll take the corner office, put our sign there, and then fill up the other spaces, paint the building, impact windows, parking lot, and all that stuff. So hopefully that'll happen in the next 3 months, 4 months.
I think Board Member Williams and then
Okay.
Board Member Irving.
Okay, so you read my mind, Mr. Executive Director. My points, and I think I missed the opening where everybody was giving. I wanted an update on the Chinese restaurant. Thank you very much. You did that. Also, we mentioned Artscape, about 2 or 3 years ago. I was meeting, it was the prior administration for CRA. And that was going to be an agenda item for Artscape or mural at one of the parks or something. I don't know if we can revisit that. I don't know if that's in your notes, but I would like to, work with that as, of course, as a part of beautification, but it was something similar to having some type of Moorish black and brown Moorish design.
What did you call it? Artscape?
Artscape.
Artscape.
Artscape. We mentioned it earlier, but I put that on my notes that I wanted for us to, if we can revisit it. I'll go back to some.
I'm putting it in my notes now.
It's kind of, I'll figure out where it is.
Yeah, we had,
Yeah,
we had somebody came and did.
it
a
was someone that came in,
presentation to-
yes. So we can just kind of go, piggyback on that. And lastly, I think we have someone that does our marketing. When we joined CRA, marketing was huge. We talked about marketing a lot and it kind of fizzled. We recently just we just recently voted on a new marketing firm, Hip Rockstar. I'm just wondering if is that something that we would like to piggyback on as the CRA so that that same work is aligned with what she's doing with the CRA so that we're not dealing with like two separate entities, but I don't know if that's a possibility. And that's
So
my notes.
before I was hired, the CRA hired a marketing firm called Blueprint
Yes.
Marketing. And there was a contract signed before we were hired. And we put that contract on hold. We talked to them. They did some work for us for a couple months. We have a business directory. They did some outreach and some research on possibly doing a conference with the airport and the county. But they did about 2 months worth of work, and we put it on hold because we didn't have anything to market, and I didn't want to pay for a service that we didn't need. So just so you know that we do have that contract.
Okay.
I
okay.
did put it on hold because
No, I understand.
we didn't have
yeah.
anything to market, right? So
Well, we don't, but we can still,
now we do.
start like, we're talking website and
Yeah.
just marketing those things that we will be doing, at least get the shell of a website or something going so that as those things are coming, Blueprint or whoever can
Agreed.
just,
Agreed.
so
Agreed.
Because that's part of our plan that we're supposed to have a website up and going. I think that's a part.
We
of
have
what
many
we're-
websites. You didn't know we have like 3 websites.
We do?
okay.
We're trying to figure out which one is which, but yeah, we have more than 2 websites. We have a website on the city. We have a website on what's that name of that Civic Plus. And I think there's another one that was from a long time ago, but we do have several. So right now, the city controls the one that and they did do some work on the website. And the funny part about this, how I know we know we have many, because they did some work on the website, but they did some work on the website that nobody goes to, because everyone goes to the city website, which has a CRA website. But then the CRA has a separate website with Civic Plus that if you Google the Opa-locka CRA, that's not going to come up. The thing that comes up is the city website. So all the changes that were made were done on the Civic Plus. So somehow we got to merge all of those websites into one, which we are working on with someone right now, an IT person to do that.
Okay, oh, go ahead.
Mr. Walker, I'm sorry. I'm big on Opa-lockians being first with things. You mentioned about people possibly, the restaurants and this, that, and the other. I would like for us to get that information out to people that lives in Opa-locka and let them have like almost like first options when it comes to some of the stuff. How we gonna get the information out to our residents? I don't know, but we'll figure out a way. And while I mention that, I might as well say what quick things I have to say for.
Yes.
Okay. I want to thank you for teaching me. I know you taught me so that I could leave you alone, but thank you for teaching me how to find out if the houses are in the CRA zone or not. I know he got sick of me sending him addresses. Well, let me tell you how to do this. And in my backpack that I don't have with me tonight, I have a list of addresses from the seniors that I'm going to have to find out if they're in the CRA zone or not, because they're about to kill me with this whole thing. I do have a question. Did we, I'm trying to keep up with so much going on both sides. Is it still on hold, or did we initiate the program with giving businesses, and now that I mentioned this, I think that was somewhere else but we're doing something for business grants, were we? Like for them to.
We have a micro grant for up to $35,000. That micro grant can be for employment. We have one that we're doing where we're paying up to $35,000 for the employees for the new business. That money could be paid for lease of space. it could be paid for, if you need to do some type of build out. We have one with the juice bar across the street. They have some plumbing and bathroom and hood issues, that they've applied for. So yes, there is a program that,
Okay.
we only have about 4 or 5 people that applied so far.
Okay, I'm trying to get some of the people in my area, which I believe is the CRA zone. So when she calls, what is the, and
It should be on the website, is it? The micro grant?
microgrant?
Micro grant. Yeah, the micro grant is on the website, and then I can email you a copy of the application.
And this is a predominantly Spanish speaking business owner. Somebody in your office will be able to communicate with her?
We will make it happen.
Okay. And the last question I have for you, I told you the scene's beating me up. The rental assistance program, is it in effect still or is it not?
It is.
Okay.
For us, I was informed today that the city's program has run out of money and expired. So, but for us, it is still in effect.
Okay, CRA is, okay. And if they have a question, they'll just dial the 2868 number with the extension 1252?
I think
Yes.
the manager told us last night that you got a phone
Oh.
for the CRA, right?
Yes. So Peggy's gonna love me for this.
Sorry, Peggy.
So I'm the type of person where I don't like calling places and getting press this dial 1, press this dial 2.
Mhm.
So we just this week got a CRA cell phone, and we're gonna be publicizing that number, so that you could get in touch with us, even if we're not in the office. One of us will have the phone. So you can send a text message, you can do a phone call, but we're gonna be advertising both the office number and the cell number, where one of our staff people will have it during business hours, so that people can easily get in touch with us. Because we're missing, we're missing calls, we're missing voicemails. And so this is we're gonna market both numbers, and we'll have a cell phone, and that number is,
Thank you.
ready, Peggy? 786
Yeah, I'm gonna pin
978
978
3813.
38.
And so going forward, that number will be printed on our flyers and all that stuff, and it's just an easier way to
Most definitely.
get in touch with us.
Because people are calling all the time and they say that they can't.
Nobody
get in
never
touch.
answered. Nobody
Yeah.
never
They
answered.
can't get in touch, so I think that's a great idea.
And I'll take another second to say thank you for all that you were doing, because it's no secret that I dreaded coming to CRA meetings, didn't like it, didn't want to be a part of it. And I just want to say thank you for, one, changing my mind, and for two, me seeing the work that you're putting into not just showing up and collecting a paycheck. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And as we, if there's someone else, I said to the director on this morning, on last night, he was at Meet Me Monday. And he did an awesome job of explaining the CRA to residents so that they will understand that although we're in the city, we really are not a city board. And some things the CRA is doing, the city might not be doing, and people didn't understand that. Well, why can't I get it? My neighbor got it. But I called him this morning, or he called me, one or the other, and I told him that he really made me proud last night. I said that you made board member Commissioner Kelly look like a king last night. He was excited because the CRA is here because of Commissioner Kelly and the work that he put in. So he could see his work since 2011, 2012, he could see something going on while he's here, that he could say that I had a hand in this. And I said to Mr. Director, I said to Mr. Director that I'm glad that I stayed on the board when everybody was quitting and saying is, they ain't got no money, why you going, you just wasting your time, nothing is happening. I'm glad that I kept my feet to the fire and stayed here, because we could see things coming coming forth. And thank you, Jason. Thank you to the attorney. Thank you to Peggy. She texts us and call us and, Madam Chair, is there anything I can do? So I really appreciate where this board is going. And we know that it's not always easy. It's not always easy because everybody has an idea, and a lot of us didn't really know what the CRA's function is. But I think, Jason, Mr. Walker, Jason, that you've done a great job in helping us to understand and to guide us through. So hats off to you and your staff and the work that you all are doing. And to Commissioner Kelly for seeing to it that Opa-locka have a CRA, and to see the work that is being done. I talk to Jason almost on a daily basis, except when I was on vacation. He told me, I'm not going to bother you. But with the work that they're doing is tremendous. Every day, he's here in Opa-locka seeing to it that whatever anybody wants on this board is getting done. He's trying to make sure, Commissioner Williams has some things that she talked about, and he's trying to say, I want to remember what it is she wants everybody. So thank you, Jason. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That's my biggest fan right there, by the way. We go way back from a long time ago.
Yeah, Mayor got his bag. He ready to
I have
go.
a question. One more question. It's for the mayor. It's for board member Taylor. I want to know if he have his bag like that when he ready to go in church. He packed that bag up 20 minutes ago. And he
Trying to get my attention. I try not to.
Keep that same energy tomorrow night too, please.
It's gonna be another midnight meeting.
I'm bringing me I got
Listen.
stickers.
Is there anything else?
No.
Vice Mayor, you've been kind of quiet. Vice Chair, you've been kind of quiet tonight. And if we don't get to see you anymore, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
21st. Okay. All right. Nothing else, Mr. Director, board members, nothing else?
Adjourn.
Move.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Jingle his keys like
I need
like
to do the same thing.
Christmas
They
time.
done text me twice, they downstairs.
What was you saying you got? Oh my God.